power of physics, I can make some incredible predictions. I bet you that if I pulled this arrow back a certain distance and I measured that distance and I fired it straight up into the air, that I would know exactly how fast this arrow is moving when it leaves my bowstring. And I can predict with a pretty high degree of accuracy how high this arrow is going to travel before it reaches the peak of its flight and starts to fall back down. I can do all of that amazing prediction with the power of physics. So how do I do it? It all comes down to the law of conservation of energy. And so the law of conservation of energy tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And that means this arrow, when I knock it on my bowstring, whatever kind of energy it has here, let's say I give it 1,000 units of energy, when I release it and it starts to move, it needs to still have 1,000 units of energy, and all throughout its path, from the moment it leaves my bowstring all the way up when it reaches the top, it should still have 1,000 units of energy, and it should have 1,000 all the way back down. So conservation of energy means that whatever energy is contained in your system must remain constant, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. Now, we have to be careful here, because in reality, this arrow is going to be experiencing air resistance all the way throughout its path, right? And so air resistance is going to sap energy from this arrow. It's going to convert that energy into thermal energy, which will leave the system as heat. So in reality, if this arrow started with 1,000 joules of energy, it's going to be losing some of its mechanical energy all the way throughout this process, and it will end up with a little bit less than it started with. But that doesn't violate the law of conservation of energy, because energy wasn't destroyed. It's just that some of the arrow's energy was converted into thermal energy and lost as heat. But for this example, we're going to ignore the energy loss due to air resistance, because it is a relatively small amount of energy. And so it's fairly safe to say that the overall energy of this arrow is going to be conserved. And that's going to enable us to solve for some pretty fascinating predictions. So let's take a look. So to solve this problem, first we have to understand what kinds of energy the arrow has at various points during its flight and before it started to fly. So let's start with the beginning. When I pull back on the bowstring, I'm actually imparting a type of energy that's known as elastic potential energy, which I'm going to abbreviate as EPE. So elastic potential is the type of energy contained when you have a spring and you're stretching or compressing that spring. A bowstring can be modeled as a spring. So anything that can be stretched or compressed, you're actually storing energy in that string. And so that's actually my initial energy. I've stored elastic potential energy in the string. Now, when I shoot the arrow, what happens? Well, now that string is going to give the elastic potential energy to the arrow. And now the arrow is in flight, which means it has what's called kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of moving objects. So as soon as that arrow starts to move, the string has given its elastic potential energy to the arrow, and it's going to have kinetic energy all the way up until it reaches the top. But there is one point at the very apex of its flight where it's actually no longer moving instantaneously. For a brief moment in time, its velocity becomes zero, so it has no kinetic energy, and then it starts to fall again and starts to move again. But if it has no kinetic energy up here, what kind of energy does it have? Because energy can't be destroyed, so it must have been converted into something else. It has completely turned into what's called gravitational potential energy, which I'm going to abbreviate as GPE. So gravitational potential is the type of energy that objects have when they are lifted some height above the ground. So technically, this arrow has gravitational potential all throughout this flight, and the higher it gets, the more gravitational potential energy it has. But it's also slowing down on the way up, which means it's losing kinetic energy. So its kinetic energy is going down, but its gravitational potential is going up. And that's because that kinetic energy, due to its motion, is being transformed into potential energy due to its height. And at some point it has no more kinetic energy and it has pure potential. But then it starts to fall again, which means it's losing height, so it's losing potential energy, and it is gaining speed again, so it's gaining kinetic energy. So now that GPE is starting to turn back into kinetic energy again, and it's going to get more and more and more of this and less of this. But note that even though we started with one form of energy turned into another, then another, then another. All throughout this process, remember, energy must be conserved, so it didn't change. Whatever we started with is the same amount of energy we ended with. It's just changing forms and becoming a different type. In order to calculate how fast the arrow is moving when it leaves the bowstring and how high it reaches in its flight before it starts to fall back down, we need to know how much energy the arrow actually had at the start. And remember, the type of energy it had was called elastic potential energy because we stretched that bowstring and then that is stored energy that's going to be given to the arrow. Now, elastic potential energy has an equation. It's equal to 1/2 kx squared. And so to use this equation, we have to understand what x and what k are. So let me start with x because I think that one's a little simpler. X is simply the distance that you stretch your material. So in the case of this bowstring, I can say x is the distance from where it was at rest to where I pulled it back. And that's a pretty simple thing to recognize. And I'm going to use the units of meters for that. So how many meters did I pull back on my bowstring? Now, K is a little trickier. So K is a measure of the stiffness of the spring. So in other words, how difficult is it to pull back on the string? A low K value means you have a bowstring that's very easy to pull. It offers very little resistance. So how do we actually know the K value for our bow? How can we figure out what this K is? Well, sometimes the manufacturers will tell you this number, but you can also just use physics to figure it out. There's a law in physics called Hooke's law, which tells us that the amount of force you pull back on a spring with is equal to this K value times X, which is the distance that you had to pull back. So if I were to write Hooke's law as an equation, it would look like this. Force is equal to K times X. And if I rearrange this equation and solve for K, I get K equals F over X. Meaning, if I pull back on the bow with some amount of force, and I divide that by the distance that I pulled it back, that would give me the K value. Now, I actually did this experiment earlier before the video. So I pulled back with a certain amount of force and I used a force sensor to do that. So I have this little force sensor here. I hooked it up and I hooked this up to my computer via Bluetooth. So I pulled it back and on my screen, it told me the amount of force I pulled with. And it turned out that number, this force, was 65 newtons. And the distance that I pulled it back was 40 centimeters. So I carefully measured that number, and that is equal to 0.4 meters. And so to calculate K, the stiffness value for this bowstring, I just take the force of 65 and divide by the distance of 0.4. And so I'm going to do that now. So we have 65 over 0.4. And so this bowstring has a K value of 162.5. So K is equal to 162.5. And because it's a force divided by a distance, it has units of newtons per meter. So K is newtons per meter. In other words, it takes 162.5 newtons for each meter that you pull back on the string. So if I wanted to pull back 2 meters, if that was possible, I would need double this force. And so this is a measure of how stiff our bowstring is. And now we have this number and we're ready to calculate how much elastic potential energy the arrow had at the beginning. So remember, our hypothetical problem was I pull back on my bowstring and I shoot it straight up, and I'm trying to predict how fast the arrow is going when it leaves and how high it reaches in the air before it starts to fall. And for this problem, let's assume that I pull back on the bowstring 40 centimeters, so 0.4 meters. So plugging in my numbers, I can now solve for the elastic potential energy that the bowstring gave the arrow at the beginning of its flight. And so that's equal to 1/2 times K, which is 162.5 newtons per meter. And then that is multiplied by X squared. And X is the distance pulled back, which is 0.4 meters. So we have 0.4 meters, and that is squared. So now all I have to do is punch this into the calculator and I'll know how much energy I had at the beginning. So we have 1/2 times 162.5 multiplied by 0.4 squared. And that gives us 13. Exactly 13. And what are the units of elastic potential energy? It has the same units as any type of energy. And in physics, the units of energy are joules. And we use the letter J for joules, which means at the very beginning of this process, the energy in my system that the arrow had access to was 13 joules of energy. And remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when it leaves the bowstring, this elastic potential energy is going to convert into kinetic energy. And how much kinetic energy should the arrow have? It should have 13 joules of kinetic energy. So if the kinetic energy is 13 joules, I actually have an equation for kinetic energy, and that's equal to 1/2 mv squared. So this is the kinetic energy of any object. And for our bow, we have to know the mass of the arrow. We have to know the kinetic energy, which we already do. That's 13 joules. And with those two knowns, we can actually figure out v, the velocity of the arrow, as soon as it leaves the bow. Let's go ahead and get the mass of this arrow by putting it on this scale here. So we need that mass in order to solve for the velocity later. So I'm going to go ahead and put the scale down on my desk and put the arrow on it. The arrow has 27 grams of mass. So I'm going to say m, the mass of the arrow, is 27 grams. We need to convert that to kilograms for our calculation, so just divide that by 1,000. So the mass is actually equal to 0.027 kilograms, okay? So there we go, mass of the arrow in kilograms. Now, we can plug in some of our known values. Remember, we started with elastic potential energy of 13 joules, which means according to the law of conservation of energy, it should also have 13 joules of kinetic energy when it leaves the bow. So we have 13 on this side. We have 1/2 times the mass, which is 0.027, multiplied by the velocity squared. So the first thing I would do here is just 1/2 times 0.027. So if you pull out your calculator and do that, you get 0.0135. So I've simplified the right side, 0.0135, and this is still v squared. On the left, we still have 13. Now I need to get this v squared by itself, and the best way to do that is to divide the right side by the same number, 0.0135, and that's going to allow itself to cancel out. But then I also have to multiply the left side by this number, or sorry, divide. And so I get 0.0135 on the bottom. And so on the right, we're left with just v squared, which is good. On the left, we have 13 over 0.0135. So I take the calculator and I just punch that in. And I get 962.96. So v squared is 962.96. And the last step to solve for its velocity, how fast it's going when it leaves the bow, take the square root of both sides. So v is equal to the square root of 962.96. And that gives us a velocity of, when I punch this in the calculator, 31.03. So 31.03 meters per second. And what's fascinating about this number, it's very accurate. So I know with a pretty high degree of confidence that if I pull my bowstring back 40 centimeters, like I said I would, and I shoot it straight up, it's going to have a velocity that's almost exactly 31.03 meters per second, which is pretty fast. So how fast is that? Well, we'll know when we figure out how high the arrow actually reaches in its flight. Now that we know how fast this arrow is going to be moving as soon as it leaves the bowstring, we can now predict how high it's going to reach in its flight. And so first we need to understand, well, what kind of energy does the arrow have when it reaches the maximum point of its flight? Well, remember, at that point it's not moving, so it doesn't have kinetic energy anymore. All that energy has turned into what we call gravitational potential energy, or GPE. And so gravitational potential energy also has an equation, and that's equal to m times g times h. M is the mass of the arrow, which we already have, 0.027 kilograms. G stands for acceleration due to Earth's gravity, so that's the rate at which things that are falling accelerate towards the ground. And so we know G on planet Earth, that is 9.8 meters per second squared. So every second that something's in free fall, its speed is increasing by 9.8 meters per second. And then h is the height that the arrow reaches in its flight, and that's what we're here to figure out. So we know the potential energy that the arrow has because remember, it started with 13 joules of elastic potential energy when I stretched the bowstring, and when I let it go, that 13 joules can't change because energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it's going to turn into GPE, but it's not going to be any more or less than it started with. So we have 13 joules of energy is our GPE. Well, M is the mass, that's 0.027. Remember, G is 9.8. and h is what we're trying to find. So the first thing I would do here is simplify the right side. Go ahead and just multiply these two terms. So we get 0.027 times 9.8. That gives me 0.265 over here. 0.265 multiplied by h. So that's our right side. Our left side has 13. And remember, we're solving for h, so I'm going to go ahead and divide this by 0.265, and that's going to allow it to cancel out with itself. And on the left side, I'm going to also divide by 0.265. And so now we're left with just h over here. So we have h equals whatever this divided by this is. So we have 13 over 0.265, and I get 49.06 meters. 49.06 meters. And that's pretty impressive. So without even doing this, before I even lift a finger and pick up this bow and arrow, I know that if I pull it back 40 centimeters and shoot it straight up, it should reach a height of approximately 49 meters in the air, which is pretty cool. But remember, in this problem, we ignored air resistance, and in reality, that air resistance is going to steal some energy from the arrow, which means it shouldn't actually reach this height. It's going to reach a height that's a little bit less than this, but this is a very good ballpark guess, and it's actually a lot closer than you might think. So there you have it. We now know how to predict the speed and the maximum height of an arrow or anything that's fired using elastic potential energy as your source.